Preface. The teaching of topology affords the instructor an opportunity not only to impart necessary mathematical content, but also to expose the student to both rigor and abstraction. This text, which grew out of lectures presented at the Pennsylvania State University, is designed to emphasize the value of careful presentations of proofs and to show the power of abstraction. Since the axiomatic method is fundamental to mathematics, the student should become acquainted with it as early as possible. The author has presented various amounts of this material to students with quite varying backgrounds. He has attempted to make this book equally flexible. The only prerequisite is the study of some analysis. Even the traditional advanced calculus should be sufficient. It should be particularly noted that no part of this text requires the material sometimes labeled modern algebra. Since it is possible to reach this level with no detailed knowledge of set theory, the first chapter presents the basic material in the most naive way, that is, non-axiomatically. For students needing merely some review and practice in set theory, the second chapter introduces some important notions about cardinal and ordinal numbers, again in the naive sense. Well-prepared students may be started with the third chapter with only an occasional reference to the introductory chapters for notation. In the third through seventh chapters, the fundamentals of general topology are presented in logical order, progressing from the most general case of a topological space to the restrictive case of a complete metric space. The author has found it possible to cover this material in a one-semester course with well-prepared graduate students and have time left for a few of the basic topics from the latter portion of the book, such as sections 8.7, 8.2, 9.3, including the material introduced in the problems. There is more than enough material in the entire book for a two-semester course. Students who must start with the introductory chapters will cover correspondingly less of this additional material. The proofs are given in considerable detail so that they may serve as models for the student to emulate. Only after he has had experience in giving such detailed proofs is the student prepared to omit the obvious steps. Although no figures are given in the text, the instructor should encourage the student to make diagrams to help his visualization. The student must be cautioned, however, that a picture is not a proof, which is the main reason for omitting them here. The problems at the ends of the sections are both to test the student's comprehension and abilities and to introduce additional material. Those problems which are given with bibliographic references are usually too difficult for any but the best students and are intended more as suggestions for further reading and work. Although this material is a prerequisite for the study of many fields of mathematics, here it is presented to be studied for its own sake. It is hoped that the student finishing this text will choose to continue to study and do research in the field, and the number of references has been greatly increased for his benefit. The author has been influenced in his style of presentation by lectures by Norman Levine and the classic book by Wacław Sierpiński. The choice of material was influenced by lectures by G.S. Young and the classic book by J.L. Kelly. The author is grateful to the many students and colleagues who have found and corrected mistakes and suggested improvements in earlier versions of this book. Throughout the book, we will use the contraction IFF for the phrase if and only if. and will mark the end of a proof by the symbol I.